All right. Hello, Sunday. Oh, yeah. You want to be in here?
Yeah.
Okay. How's that? But you can't talk because you don't have the microphone. Hello, everyone. On Sunday, I'm trying to post. What is that noise? Sounds terrible. Oh, that hurts my ears. Ugh.
It's the magnolia tree against the canopy.
Jeez, maybe we do have to close that door.
Why don't you see anyone?
Well, people are here. There's
two people.
Two people are here. Hello, two people. uh,
Three people.
Sorry, I'm trying to post this thing up on Instagram so that the thousands of people that would
Normally come.
if they only knew. And we're running a tad bit behind. Are we? No, it's 7:01. But we just got back from Chicago like 45 minutes ago after driving for 5 hours. So here we are.
6 people.
How's the sound quality?
Are people able to comment? Because normally people.
Yeah, they're just quiet right now.
You sure? Because remember that one time?
No, I know, but have you ever just had a moment where you just want to be quiet?
Okay.
That's how those.
Can someone comment so that we know it's working?
You got to speak up.
Can someone oh, yeah. Yay.
See?
Right, boss.
Amy saves us.
Yeah. Chicago was really interesting. Ben and I went to Hawaii, a month ago or something, and we met this person on the beach that was also there on vacation. And then we ended up a month later at her house in downtown Chicago, or flat, I guess you could call it, not really a house. And so random, maybe not so random connections.
First, I met this lady on this beach, Cammie and I, and then we come home and she mails us this like $2,000 or $3,000 clock that just shows up at my house one day. Well, I sent her a copy of my book, and she read it, and then she sent me a clock, and then we took the kids up. And okay.
Hi, Clara.
That's that story. Clara from Ireland. Christina, hi.
Austin.
Katie from Australia. Here they come. They are
Christina, Katie
flooding in.
from
So
Australia.
many people. Okay. And man, who was it that was here last week that was talking about the unschooling stuff? I was like kicking myself for not just tackling it right head on, because why not? It's like, what better do we have going on than to talk about fun things? So if you have something you want to talk about, I'm going to learn from my terrible mistakes and not miss an opportunity like that again. At least that's my goal. But let's start reading.
Christina says that was me.
Oh, Christina. Okay, Christina. First of all, I apologize for missing out on that incredible opportunity. But I guess it wasn't a complete waste because I recommended that you watch that one video. My question is, did you watch it? And if you watched it, what did you think about it? Be honest. Don't just say positive things. And did you have any questions, or was it helpful? Because I want to know about that, because I want to continue. There's few things I'm as passionate about talking about than education and learning with humans. And for some reason, people tend to want to fixate on learning when it comes to small humans more than other humans, I guess. But maybe it's because we think we can control them. Okay. While we're waiting for a few more people to join us, the intro. We are on chapter 7, the story of the largest family to hike the Appalachian Trail. Me and my friend and co-writer, after we exchanged 19 drafts, but Megan McCracken. And just so you know, like, the book is available on Amazon and places.
Our merch store.
Oh yeah, and audiobook and stuff like that, and Kindle. Rosalia says hi from Ontario. Rosalia. We're on chapter 7. We're going chapter by chapter. We left off getting dropped back off in the middle of Smoky Mountains after being interrogated by CPS and spending kind of a vacation-y 2 or 3 day vacation type of thing with my parents there. And then we just got dropped off back in the middle of the Smokies. And this chapter is titled The Internet Hate Engine. I guess I don't need to show you that because there's no pictures. And I start off every chapter with a quote. This quote is by Stephen Pressfield, but hang on, I need to read Christina's thing. My internet cut out for a minute. I watched it and enjoyed it. I agree with all your points. I do have some questions. I'll save them for the next break or end. Great. Do that. Save them for the end and we'll chit chat about that. So stay tuned if you want to hear us talk about unschooling. Is that what we talk about? It's so weird to call it unschooling, but it is. Okay. And stay tuned for a very special musical guest. Our quote by Stephen Pressfield is, the more important a call or action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance we will feel toward pursuing it. The CPS scare had been shocking at first, but we were able to rebound from it quickly. It was an ordeal of a whole different nature that introduced us to a new enemy that was not as simple and would follow us for the rest of our journey, the internet hate machine. Back on the trail, Cammie and I had a sleepless night. Someone had sent us an Instagram message to let us know people were talking about us on Reddit. Since we already knew people had called CPS on us, it felt responsible to keep up on what was being said about us online. After all, it was our lives they were talking about. And what had happened with CPS, we didn't want to be blindsided. And with what had happened to us with CPS, we didn't want to be blindsided again. And we figured we should know what dangers lay out there on the web. Up to this point, many people had already added their 2 cents via YouTube comments and hiking forums, but we quickly discovered that the Reddit page was different and much darker. There were hundreds of hateful comments completely detached from people familiar with our story or hiking in general. The page was titled Crawford Trail Wreck. Will these dumbasses get pregnant, kill one of their kids, or have their kids taken away? That's like totally real, by the way. Like you can still find that page if you look up online. Here are a few of the comments from the page. I've watched a lot of through hiker videos on the Appalachian Trail and Pacific Crest Trails and recently stumbled on the videos of this family, Fight for Together. I started watching thinking watching a family of 8 hike the AT would be interesting, and I have been shocked at what I've seen. The father, Ben, is the biggest narcissist alive. You're an asshole, Ben Crawford. I hope your children get taken away from you soon, especially Eden, the child you made a point to say is hard for you to love on her birthday video. You are one fucked up narcissist, abusive grifter. In my opinion, he's a misogynistic, controlling, egotistical individual who sees himself as their leader. Thank goodness none of the kids have gotten seriously ill from drinking non-filtered water. His wife is looking more haggard and old. She loses more weight. She does not look happy and really needs to stand up to this asshat and take charge of her life and not let him dictate to the family. It is beyond me how people admire this creep. He makes my skin crawl. This is really weird reading this stuff about me on here. His voice, the next one is about my voice. His voice is grating and just plain annoying as hell. How people find this guy charming baffles me. Does anyone find me charming? I never hear anyone say I'm charming. I've never heard it. Unless you're like on drugs. That was really nice, actually. The gray stringy hairs in his beard are so yucky and unattractive. I don't have many. Where's the gray one? A few gray ones. I actually like the gray ones, honestly. I respectfully disagree. He said they really have to push now, the most difficult and dangerous part of the trail, to make their deadline. I still don't get why this annual spiritual get together is so freaking important, other than they promised the kids they would be able to go, which seems pretty unlikely since he never puts the kids first. Thanks for letting me vent.
And vent you were doing.
Last one.
Projecting.
I hate this guy with the fire of 1,000 suns. He's battered down his wife. She's so hunched and dead-eyed in her appearances. I hope his kids kick his bloviating ass to the curb as soon as they're old enough to do so. I had to reread that for the ebook numerous times because I did not know how to pronounce it. Bloviating. I don't know what it even means.
Nice. Uplifting.
I don't know whether to even comment on that, or I think I comment all about it in the reading, so I don't think I need to comment more. Except for it is kind of funny to read this stuff. I mean, I'll say this. A number of these comments say narcissist. And what was kind of nice, hey Glenn, thanks for popping by. What I noticed was I had already been called a narcissist by a number of people in our spiritual community that we had lived in. And what I had learned from that process, because I seriously questioned if I was a narcissist. In fact, I went to therapy or counseling just to want to know. And I actually wanted to be a narcissist because I thought it would help with a label to make sense of why some people didn't like me. And our therapist very early on said, listen, I hate to break it to you, but if you were a narcissist, you wouldn't really be here sitting across the table asking me if you're a narcissist. And in fact, he said some of the people that are accusing you of being a narcissist sound more like narcissists than you are. And that was kind of frustrating because then I was like, well, that would have been nice to just know that. But I learned from that experience that a lot of people have these derogatory terms that they just call someone when they don't like them. And one of those things is narcissist, which is a little bit scary because it's actually a clinical diagnosis that gets confusing. It's not like just calling someone a jerk. And so I don't know. I encourage people to be careful about that. If you are even talking about someone, even like Donald Trump or who I'm not a fan of at all, or I don't even vote, so I don't give a shit, honestly. But I'm just saying, when you don't know why someone is doing something, to read into why they're doing it is a very personal thing. Whereas I'm totally comfortable with people saying, talking about how behaviors affect them and even describe the behavior itself. But just saying someone is a narcissist, we learned is something I think that's probably between them and their therapist. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to catch up on this comment from Mac. Great. Okay, sorry, back to reading. The more we went down the rabbit hole of comments, the more overwhelmed Cammie and I felt. That was the worst night on the trail. The physical obstacles we faced were hard, but simple enough to overcome. This felt like we had stepped into an overflowing river that could sweep us away to a dark place. The irony of the Reddit comments painting me as the villain of the story was that it was Cammie, not I, who had ignited the idea of doing the Appalachian Trail. Yeah, everyone just assumed that I was dragging your ass along and forcing everyone to do it.
It's easy to assume that when one person has a stronger personality, to think, oh, they must be dragging everyone else along.
The irony is that's pretty sexist and derogatory, even to you, people saying oh, you should step up and kick my ass, which assumes that you didn't want to be doing it. 10 years earlier, our family had hiked the Wonderland Trail in Washington. It's a 95-mile loop around Mount Rainier, the mountain we named our 2-year-old after. During that trip, Cammie, who was not an outdoorsy person, saw how much the hike brought our family together into a single unit. From that point, she prioritized time spent outdoors as a family. So, if people don't know this little story, when I first found out about the Appalachian Trail about 18 years ago, I wanted to do it right away. And I was begging Cammie to do it. And she would not. And it was like one of the biggest fights of our marriage. Her family got involved. Her parents like had this intervention. It was like an absolute nightmare. But okay, blah, blah. Fast forward, 15 years later, and she's the one that wants to do it now. And I was open to it, but I wasn't like as amped as she was. We went on to hike the Wonderland 4 more times. On every occasion, the challenge of 95 miles through the rain and hills was hard and something we couldn't do as individuals. The goal was bigger than anything we could accomplish on our own. Faced with a situation where we were forced to rely on one another, our appreciation, teamwork, and intimacy skyrocketed. Our days on the Wonderland were the highest highs and lowest lows our family had ever seen. In some ways, our first day on the Wonderland were more difficult than anything on the AT. I think that was true because we back then when we were hiking, we didn't know if we could do it. We didn't know if kids could walk even, and we had never seen it happen like in the outdoors. So we just assumed it was a terrible idea, and kids were better off at home eating Happy Meals and watching DVDs. Um, so by the time we actually had gotten to the AT, I think we had the hardest part taken care of, which was like the mental aspect of knowing that it was at least possible. Um, our first trip on the Wonderland, our kids were 2, 4, 6, and 8. We actually didn't know if they could walk that far, especially since it rained for 9 days straight. We did it a couple of times while Cami was pregnant. Once again, not sure if she could make it. After the first hike around Mount Rainier, a friend picked us up from the trail and commented that we seemed different as a family, that it was hard to explain. We felt like soldiers returning from war, a very, very wet war. We were attached to each other in a deeper way than before we started the hike. We had made it, and we had only done it because of each other. Those trips showed us another way to live life, but we always came back to the real world. We tried all the typical things to recreate that connection at home. Our kids took dance lessons and tennis lessons, enjoyed baseball leagues. We even tried rock climbing. Each of these activities scratched an itch, making us feel like good parents. But the kids never seemed to come out of them with the same sense of joint accomplishment that our hikes gave us. Even when they did, we found teams and sports actually competed with what we wanted to build. Eventually, we got bored and wondered if there was another way to experience the bonding lessons we had learned on the Wonderland. But a long distance through hike seemed out of the question for us. We were a large group with small kids, and Cami did not see herself as the type of person that could handle an undertaking that large. Then one day, while surfing on YouTube, Cami found a woman named Dixie. Dixie was a blonde woman in her late 20s from Alabama who was a teenager. She quit her job to through hike the AT by herself in 2015. She had never been on a backpacking trip before. Dixie posted videos on YouTube chronicling her entire journey, and Cami watched every video transfixed. She cried as she saw Dixie touch the sign at the end. Foreshadowing. She started to imagine a trip of our own. All right, you ready to take over reading?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let me. Oh, there's another comment. Okay, so Christina says, my husband also has a very dominant personality and family. And family assume he's made the big decisions in our life, moving to a new state, philosophy on life, etc. Actually, it's been me. That's one of those things, man, that learning to look beyond people's personality
Mhm.
is such a valuable thing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Enneagram. That's ENNEAGRAM. It's been helpful for us as well as Myers Briggs in the past and a few other ones. But I think they helped me see that like there's certain personalities that aren't as welcome either in religious cultures that we were raised in or even American cultures. And like your personality, which is more quiet, is more rewarded, but there's just different challenges for each one, and some labels like don't work very well if you just assume like, oh, Cami's being loving because she's being quiet. Courage for you looks like courage. Courage for me looks different from courage for you. Sometimes courage for me is being quiet, sometimes courage for you is speaking up.
Yeah.
It's weird. um Wait, what is this? Caged. I'm 16 and dream to do this someday. Why is it? Oh, I'm gonna show that someone's little emojis, they
Oh.
were censored.
Huh.
Um, Maya, I hope you do it someday if you want to. Okay, you ready to
Yeah.
switch?
Yep. Okay. All right. A grain of salt. With our lifestyle, we become accustomed to disagreements or people who make different choices than how we choose to live. But these Reddit comments were different. They weren't just expressing an opinion. There was so much energy, so much hate. They wanted to bring us down. They wanted to destroy our reputation, our trip, our story. We knew the people hating us were probably those who needed the most compassion, that there was probably a reason they were exuding so much nastiness. People vent to feel better about themselves, so it's important to be careful about how much weight you give what they say. But in our state, we were in no condition to be dishing out compassion. We were hurt. We felt defensive. After all, we thought, when the world sees walking in the woods with your kids as controversial, something's gone wrong somewhere in the culture. Frankly, 5 years earlier, we would have judged others the same way as the Reddit commenters, applying one golden standard of parenting that is based upon our culture and own abilities and assuming that everyone else who didn't live up to it was irresponsible. Since then, though, we'd come to realize life isn't so simple or binary. We'd made the error of miscategorizing people for the sake of our own security in the past, and now we were on the receiving end of the same treatment. It made us realize anew how wrong we'd been to judge others. The hardest thing about the comments was that even the worst ones contained bits of truth we had wrestled with and pondered at some point ourselves. Emotionally abusive. On the trail, we had seen all of our kids cry and push them in ways that made us wonder what was abusive and how far was too far. Was I controlling? Not compared to our early years of marriage, but it was something I'd battled with for a long time. It was hard for me to let go of projects I cared about, and I tended to micromanage people in the details and felt like a perfectionist with the kids. And egotistical? Well, with all we had accomplished as a family in business and in physical feats, some of it did go to our head, and it was easy to think of ourselves as exceptional and different. She deserves to be away from these people and to get a good education. Were we giving our kids a good enough education, even though we didn't make them go to public school and didn't force structured education at home? Gray, stringy hairs and his beard are so yucky and unattractive. Rude, but true, I could laughingly admit to myself. Sometimes Cammy didn't even like them, although I don't think that's true anymore. But, anyways, although most of the time she said she did. Maybe she was lying. Normal families aren't like this. People in our spiritual communities had told us the same thing in the past using much more charged language, and we felt guilty of this for a long time. Our very presence seemed to make any normal family feel uncomfortable, and it was impossible to not blame ourselves for this discomfort. We constantly wondered if we were just trying to be different or make some sort of statement. Could we be normal even if we tried? And finally, the worst. I hope his kids kick his bloviating ass to the curb as soon as they are old enough to do so. This is the worst because it was my worst fear. Would our kids leave as soon as they were able? Did we really trick ourselves and pull some emotionally manipulative and controlling stunts to make them think they wanted to do this and really they would resent us for it someday? We had created so many safeguards in our life to prevent this from happening. Apologizing to our kids regularly, going to therapy and counseling and encouraging our kids to do the same, having weekly meetings with our kids as individuals and as a group so they could speak to our parenting and household and regularly air all grievances. But still, I have such a strong personality that maybe it wasn't enough. Maybe we had drunk our own Kool Aid, and these online sleuths could see through all of our bullshit for who we really were and the real effects we were having on our kids. The thought was paralyzing. We could spend hours mulling these thoughts over in our heads, wondering if they were true, and then wondering how we could respond online. But time spent thinking about online comments was time spent ignoring our kids' needs and even our own. Time that we could spend figuring out a new new ways to keep warm, or planning breaks to boost morale. So, moving forward, we needed a strategy to deal with online dissent just to stay sane. Our strategy was twofold. One, we asked, are these commenters even in the game? We would listen to hikers, no one from the audience. Listening to a faceless they and them was worthless. If you had hiked through the snow, if you were heading to the next town, or if we were sleeping in the same shelter, you could tell us anything you wanted about parenting, the trail, or gear. We would listen, we would discuss, and we would offer feedback when asked. And two, we asked, are the comments helpful? This led us to our most helpful conclusion. Just because something is true does not mean it is helpful. And if it's not helpful to us in the moment, it's irrelevant. Not everything we read was negative. For as much hate as we got online, we had tons of people reach out to us and share that they could relate. This matched our real life experience with friends who made real time mistakes and had regrets in parenting just like us. What parents don't have stories of losing their temper or going too far in their frustration and anger? It was helpful for us to see everything happening online as make believe. And we were make believe to them. We were just a story to provide fuel for their conversation, hate, and insecurity. Tomorrow, we would probably be replaced by someone else. These people didn't know us and didn't actually care about us. We were characters in a story to them, just like Darth Vader was a character to me. Their critique of our lifestyle wasn't real. The trail was real. Food, water, moving forward, and staying safe together were what mattered. Through the brightly lit phone screen, we saw an online world filled with passion and anger and so many opinions. But the second we turned off the screen, all we could see was a dirt path winding its way between trees and rocks. The people we met on the trail cared about us deeply. There was such a stark contrast between the online world and the trail, our real world. Conflict has a way of either tearing people apart or bringing them together. If Cami and I knew anything, it was that if we were crazy, at least we were fine being crazy together. We saw what our relationship was made of and knew the negativity we faced would only serve to pull us closer together. Cami and I developed a new dynamic that dark night in the tent with Reddit. We came together as a couple and as parents to say, you don't know us. We agreed to hold each other accountable to ignore the internet comments from then on. It was like we were each other's protectors. It became another piece of armor we forged together on the trail. Okay, then we have a little journal entry from memory, age 11, thoughts after the CPS incident. Even though we had never trained our kids on how to deal with CPS, they felt the severity of the situation and felt violated by how confident outsiders could have a direct impact upon our family. So this is what it looks like, and I'll read it in just a second. So that's the little journal entry, okay? And it says, and that's who called CPS. So I am pretty fucking mad at that person. And we, what does that say? And we stayed, oh, it just, and then it just cuts off. And okay, that's it.
All right. You need to scoot off because Cami needs to go get our special musical guest. But I want to speak about this just for a second because we're here and this is the Sunday service and that's what we do. It's funny. I just read a review on Audible that was very negative about our hike, and the thing the person commented about was the negative comments that we got, and they said that the book was written from a defensive position, which maybe it was some of it. But the reason why I included a lot of these negative comments is because, I mean, they're kind of ridiculous in that there's so many of them and they're so kind of mean. But I think that in a way, they represent a lot of what people are afraid of online, of getting called out and getting made fun of, whether it's true or not. And I guess what I wanted to show that we learned from here that I believe so firmly, and why I think this is so valuable potentially for other people, is when you believe that there's people are calling you out because there's something wrong with you, it's so debilitating and can be so frustrating and harmful, I actually think. Whereas if you realize that they actually don't care about you, like no one really does, even people that know you, they mostly care about themselves. And what they're writing about has way more to do about them than it has to do with you. Um, and we literally, I mean, it's kind of funny, but I say it in the book. We literally were like a TV show for other people. Like I was like Darth Vader. Like they were discussing a movie. Like, so while it's easy to read it and be like, oh, well, my name is Ben, and who they're talking about is Ben, so they're talking about me. That's actually like a mistake, I think, to say they're talking about me. They're talking about the character that I represented. What's up, Julie from Kentucky? Um, they're talking about the character that I represent to them, or that they've made up in their heads, which is a villain. And and I think they have the right to do that. And that's the risk that we take when we put our lives online. But forget about the online thing for a second. In a way, I think that's very metaphorical, and we all do that to each other. Like we all fill in our own preconceived notions and storylines with other people, and they do it to us. So I just learned like you kind of have to like let it go, if or it can drive you crazy, and it can really be paralyzing to wonder what everyone thinks about you, but they don't have all the information, and they don't know, and they don't have a what's the word, a stake in the game. What's that phrase? A dog in the fight. Yeah, that's what it is. Or they're not like if
Skin in the game.
they don't have skin in the game. Yeah. So if I quit, like they might be happy, but they don't really have to live with the consequences or the benefit. So it's easy to talk from the outsiders, and it's even when we post crap on Facebook about politics or anything that we're doing, we're opening ourselves up to that. So, anyways, it was so drastic for us that I figure, well, it's not as drastic for other people, but I think these phenomenons still existed. Um, and Cage says, a few trolls hated you, but the vast majority of everyone loved you. Yeah, I think that is also true, especially the people that we met in real life. But anytime, I think what I've learned is anytime you do something different, people have one of two responses. They're either going to use it as inspiration for themselves, and they'll challenge themselves to become better, or develop further, or grow, or they will get defensive and they will feel like they need to bring you down so that they don't feel as inferior if they are comparing themselves with you. And you never know what it's going to be. But once again, it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. Okay. Geesh. And we're going to come back to the reading in just a little bit. But before we do, we have a very special musical guest here, all the way from Chicago. Well, she was in Chicago this weekend. It is live on her guitar.
Yeah.
Please welcome, with a very warm emoji applause, Cammie Crawford.
Yay. Hey, everyone. I want to play a few songs for you.
You're getting a lot of emoji applause, by the way.
Nice. Took my love and I took it down. Climbed a mountain, I turned around. And I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills until the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? I don't know. 'cause I build my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older. Now I'm getting older too. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I build my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older. And now I'm getting older too. Take this love and take it down. Climb a mountain and you turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, then a landslide will bring you down. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, then a landslide will bring you down. Well, a landslide bring you down. It's one of my favorite songs.
Man, you are getting mad emojis over here.
Oh my goodness.
Thumbs up, hearts, clappy hands, heart and clappy hands, heart eyes from Robert.
Thank
Sparkly
you.
hearts.
Sparkly hearts.
A bang and a heart from Julie Wolf.
Wow, thank you, everyone. Okay, shifting gears a little bit. So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from pain? Can you tell a green field from a cold steel rail, a smile from a veil? Do you think you can tell? Did they get you to trade your heroes for ghosts, hot ashes for trees, hot air for a cool breeze, cold comfort for change? Did you exchange a walk-on part in the war for a lead role in the cage? How I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year, running over the same old ground. What have we found? The same old fears. Wish you were here. That's pretty much it. There's a lot more of that song, but that's pretty much all I know. All right. This next song is by me. Okay. Do people say the title of the songs they write? Ben and I had this conversation in the car. He was like, "So normally people don't say what the title of the song is before they play it." And I was like, "Oh," because I like a dork was like, "So the next song I'm playing is." Like
Well, everyone is saying they like know the song.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting mad love from
Okay.
Mac is saying, love this song too. I think we have a lot in common. Pink Floyd Forever.
That's right. So when it's your own song that people might not know, then do you say then this is my song? That's what
Well,
it's
first of all,
called?
you say whatever the fuck you want, but I think people like to know if you wrote it.
Yeah, right.
But the other ones,
They know I didn't write. Yeah. Okay. This song I wrote, everyone. The other day I was dancing free. I could feel something inside of me. It's not me, but who I am. Supposed to be the real me. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. It takes me back to the little girl. Love to take her back for a whirl. There was freedom there without a care. Laid it all bare. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Grown up now, so sophisticated, yet so deflated and complicated. Trying to uncover who I am. I wanna give a damn to leave the sham. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. To discover who you really are. Not many get that far. There's no going back once you're on this track. So it's time to let it go. 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 Thank you, everyone, for listening.
someone is asking, where can I hear more of Cammie?
Oh, well, I have an Instagram page, Cammie Crawford. I think you just go on there and type in Cammie Crawford and I should pop up. And I have all the songs I've ever written on my Instagram TV, but I post pretty regularly, just different clips and songs that either I've written or covers. So
What if,
you can find me.
like, maybe someone wanted to hear a more polished version of these songs?
Right. That is coming out very soon. I am going to be coming out with my first album. My goal is in 2-3 weeks. I've recorded everything. I just have to fine polish stuff. And then I've never done something like this, so I need to kind of figure out how to like get it out there, but I'm going to do it. So if you follow my Instagram, I will definitely be posting on there when my album comes out and you can find all that. So yeah. Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Our special musical guest. You never know who's gonna pop up.
One of these days, you should actually have someone famous. That would be.
Could be anyone, really. I like to keep you guys on your toes. All right. Back to reading. What everyone really came for. That's what I like to tell myself. Okay, we're going to read the last little section here of chapter 7. If you're new joining us, welcome. Did I already say, man, mad people from Minnesota are here. Like a ton.
Gosh, look at all that.
Yeah, see all those emojis?
Wow.
Those are all for you, babes.
I feel so supported. Thank you.
That's a lot of claps. Those might even be standing claps. It's hard to even tell. Like standing ovation. Okay. This section is called Trail Friends. Early on in the Smokies, we'd met a man called Bill, who went by the trail name Hops because of his love for home brewing beer. Hops had a similar look to the other older male hikers we'd met, bearded with scraggly gray hair. He hiked in a pair of green cargo shorts, which were instantly recognizable out on the trail. When he was 11 years old, Hops had stepped onto the Appalachian Trail, and a scout leader pointed in one direction and said, if you walk 1,100 miles that way, you'll end up in Georgia. And if you walk 1,100 miles the other way, you'll end up in Maine. Hops said that ever since that moment, he knew he would hike the trail. He'd always planned on hiking with his wife, but she'd had hip surgery that year before. Being 68 now, Hops knew he couldn't wait. He considered the AT sacred ground and hiked with a reverence and appreciation of history that we didn't have at all. Twice we came into shelters late at night. On both these occasions, we heard Hops had pitched his tent in the slush and saved spots for our whole family in the shelter. What is that dog barking about? Hops said he missed his wife and grandchildren, and being around our kids reminded him of his own family. In the second half of the Smokies, we ran into fewer and fewer hikers. It seemed many had quit, and quite a few were still recovering in Gatlinburg from the blizzard. On day 26, we emerged from Smoky Mountain National Park, tired but together, and closer than ever. We walked into a hostel to celebrate with some ice cream, and Rainier got some chocolate milk. Hops was there. He had just pulled a pizza out of the oven and offered some to each of our kids. I heard what happened to you guys with CPS, he said. I've been watching you guys hike. I was a district executive for the Boy Scouts for 17 years, as well as the senior director of the National Aquarium for 20 years. So if you ever need someone to vouch for you, send them my way. As our kids devoured the rest of Hops' frozen pizza, it felt good to know that we had a friend out there. As soon as we get back on the trail, 2 young women passed us. They were dragging their feet and appeared to be in an argument. They didn't look very excited to be on the trail. Smokies had clearly been rough on them. We introduced ourselves. Mama Kish was the shorter of the two and had a ponytail of dirty blonde hair. Her trail name was based on her last name, and she was the parent figure of the two. Not Dead was tall and thin, with disheveled brown hair. She chose her name because Not Dead was a phrase she used in her work as now this book says ambulance driver, but it turns out she was an EMT driver, which that correction has been made in all subsequent editions of the book. And she felt it most accurately described her state on the trail. That's the phrase, Not Dead. Not Dead wanted to stop for pizza and ice cream, but Mama Kish wasn't having it. She said there would be no stopping until the next town. The problem was that the next town, Hot Springs, wasn't for another 35 miles. Spiritually arm in arm with some new real-life friends who knew what we were going through and who were sharing the same struggle, we all headed that way together. A few funny things about this hostel. One is we shipped a box there. Like, we didn't ship many boxes, but we shipped ourselves, I think, 3 boxes with like cigars and snacks, granola bars, like nuts, things that we thought would be like expensive to buy on trail. And we totally forgot to pick it up there. The second thing that's kind of funny is if you want to hear Not Dead's version of the story, it's available. We interviewed the Degenerates also on a YouTube Live, and she shares her version of the story, which I think is pretty entertaining as well, because they go on to become pretty major characters in the story. Okay, where are we? Deb is saying, I love your trail magic. When the group start heading to Vermont, I really want to set up meals for them. I really hope you do. I have a video where I give people like tips for doing trail magic. If you haven't checked that out, you might want to do that. Okay, any questions or comments you guys have about this particular section? In the meantime, I will go ahead and say that I would love it if you have been enjoying this at all. The thing that really helps the most is if you consider leaving a review of the book on either Amazon or Audible, because once again, the book has actually more than 400 reviews, which is incredible. And I have a feeling I know a lot of you guys left reviews last time, and that was really helpful. And I read them all. Um, in fact, I got a really cool one this today, I think, by Nicholas, who told me that he wrote it. But still, we have this pesky problem that's really annoying me. Do you guys see that orange? Where is it? See that? Like it's like missing that little half there. That's because the book has 4.7 stars. But I think if it gets 4.8, it's like a solid orange, and it looks just beautiful to me.
Yeah.
Who spent 2 years of my life. And I know I probably am not supposed to care about that, but I actually do. And we have a comment. Steven says, just found your channel like a week ago from one of the marathon videos and then started watching the trail series. I'm probably halfway through the videos. Holy crap. That's called through watching. With someone else.
Which is no small feat either.
Yeah, seriously. I think there's 120 trail videos. So if you're 60 of them through, that's I know.
Wow.
I do want the elusive 5 stars. There's so many people leave 5 stars, but it only takes one person for it to go down. But you don't have to do it. But if you have been enjoying the experience, it is the one way you can't help. I know. That's what I'm talking about her comment here. All right, cool guys. Anything else that you want to talk about now? Otherwise, the book, of course, is available if you want to read it at a faster pace. Otherwise, we wanted to provide a way where people who either couldn't afford Audible or have trouble reading or anything like that can just hear it for free, and where we can interact with you guys. So next week, I believe, are we on for next week? I think we are.
I think so.
Let me look at the calendar real quick. But I believe that we are on for next week. Let me see. The second. Ooh, next week would have been the Flying Pig Marathon. That got canceled. That is written about in this book. Man, that'd be cool if we were at that chapter, but we're not. So next week we were at chapter 8, called Clearing Our Heads. It'll be at 7 p.m. Oh, that's a little short chapter. Yeah, it's long enough. 7 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. Kelsey says, thanks again for the Sunday reading. Thank you guys for joining us and making time. And I guess I'm supposed to say, because all the YouTubers say it, like you could also like slap a thumbs up and leave a comment or something. Although I don't really know what that does, but maybe it's special or something. Does it make you feel better?
Yeah.
It does?
I mean, I saw 15.
Oh, 16.
Likes. Ooh, someone just.
That does feel kind of good, actually.
Ooh.
Now that you mention it, look at that. I feel better instantly.
No wonder people. 18. Oh my goodness.
That was easy, wasn't it? But go review the book. We're cranking these likes. Here, I'm gonna put my book in the link thing so that I'm gonna try and pressure people more, because it literally is so fast if you don't even have to write anything. But if you write it, we'll read it. That's the thing. Okay, there's the link. I just posted it.
For the review.
Review the book, please. I put it in caps. I hope people don't feel like I'm shouting at them.
Do a little smiley face.
Okay. Should I do a smiley face?
Yeah.
Look, there's a money button. Can I send them money, or is that for them to send me money? What are all these buttons? I'll do a heart. No. These emojis are
kind of crazy.
Okay, here, I'll do heart. eyes there. That way people know. Christina says, I bought the book and read it right away. I still need to write a review. Christina!
She says I will.
Christina! When will you do this? People are never going to admit it again after this.
Right.
Christina, you still haven't
It's okay.
written a review?
It's okay. It's okay.
Is there Kleenex around? Yes, a review on Amazon. Please, Christina. And if you want to do extra credit, then Audible. But I actually don't know if people can review on Audible.
Yeah. Do you want a review on Amazon?
Okay, I forgive you, Christina, but just don't. If our friendship is going to continue, we need to take care of this. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
If there's other Christinas out there, you are forgiven, but make it right. And thanks for everyone that supported the book. And
Julie says she admitted.
I bought it when it was first out. Julie hasn't. Julie, I am not. Okay, Julie, I was going to respond to you on Instagram today because you have a problem with me saying that something about prayer or God. And I'm not going to respond until you tell me that you write a review. This is the end of our friendship. You have not even read a free, and you waited for it to go 20% off to even buy the damn book. What the heck kind of Christian are you? All right. I'm really pulling out the stops now. I'm going to start putting boundaries up. That's what I'm going to start doing. Gee whiz.
No more Sunday readings.
Seriously. All right. Love you guys. Thanks for popping on here. And I will see you guys. People are laughing. The heck kind of disrespect is this? This is serious business. All right. We will see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your Sunday and stream. And yes. And